It was late December. I was on a road trip of sorts, enjoying the open road, making a fresh start. I felt good. I'd packed up all my things, given away all my books and old clothes, and I was on my way to start a new job in a new city. Except that it wasn't really a new city. I'd lived in Chicago before, but that ended 7 years ago. It seemed like an eternity to me. My outlook on life had changed. I had a new career, and I was a new person, or so I thought. I began my new job at the start of January. Since it was winter, I focused mostly on my job and didn't stray too far from my office and my apartment. I tried to stay warm and survive the long walks to and from the office, dodging cars and snow piles, bracing myself against the wind, and trying to avoid the ice that seemed to cover every surface. Even in this narrow existence, though, I soon found that I couldn't get away from Natalia. Every street I walked down, every door I opened, every person I talked to, Natalia was there, in the background. I couldn't get away from her, and I didn't know if I wanted to. I was haunted by the ghost of Natalia. Why did Natalia disappear? That I never knew. Why didn't she say goodbye? I'd been tormented by these questions for 7 years. The day I met Natalia, I was working in a grocery store, trying to figure out my future while living my earlier Chicago life. She came in asking for organic golden raisins, and I was able to show her where they were. We started talking, and I could tell right away that Natalia was different. She and I started spending time together. It was late spring and turned into the most magical summer of my life, eventually ending in such cryptic fashion. She had a distinctive way of interacting with the world. She seemed popular, sort of. She was invited to parties and events and gatherings all the time, but she didn't feel like the normal rules applied. She didn't feel like she needed to bring a gift, didn't feel like she needed to arrive on time, stay till the end, RSVP, follow etiquette. She knew what the expectations were, knew what the rules were, but she just didn't feel like they applied to her, that her presence alone was enough, that her time, her willingness to appear at their event was sufficient. It was early April. As winter finally came to an end, I was tired of the nonstop cars and trucks and noise and pollution. I wanted to explore a little bit, see some nature, so I headed west to Humboldt Park. The weather was still cold, but it was nice to see some green grass, hear some birds chirping in the still barren trees. Of course, Humboldt Park meant the magic tree. I have to admit, I was curious about the tree, if it looked any different from 7 years ago. Natalia and I had discovered the magic tree during one of our exploratory walks through the city. We were talking about nothing and everything all at the same time, wandering the city, seeing what we could see, exploring the world.
Look at this.
Whoa.
What is it?
It looks like a secret hiding place.
It's a place where people could leave messages for each other. Or we could leave messages for each other. Or we could leave messages for each other. It's the magic tree.
Spring became summer, and I was visiting more of the city on my walks, reacquainting myself with once familiar neighborhoods. Natalia was still there, in the background, but I thought I was doing better, focusing on my new job, which was going okay, and my own future rather than being stuck in the past. Then I found myself on Natalia's old street. I'd purposefully avoided this street since coming back to Chicago. I didn't want to see Natalia's old apartment, which had been on the second floor of an otherwise unremarkable house. But I thought it would be okay if I simply walked by. As I approached, I couldn't believe it. Mrs. Dopavchik, Natalia's old landlord, who lived on the first floor, she was standing out front on the sidewalk. Mrs. Dopavchik remembered me. She spoke fondly of Natalia, too. She wanted to give me a box of things Natalia had left behind. I tried to decline, but she insisted. As she went to get the box, I looked up at the upstairs window, Natalia's window, thinking about all the times she and I had stared out that window, watching the moths circling the streetlight, trying to figure out where the moon was, watching the rain fall, talking about all the places we could travel, the things we could do, discussing our hopes and dreams for the future. All of a sudden, it seemed like yesterday, and not 7 years ago. I couldn't do it. The memories were too abrupt, too present, too excruciating. Looking backward is never a good idea. Dredging up the past was not wise. I really wish Mrs. Dopovchik hadn't given that box to me. What am I doing? Is this really my life? I feel like I've lost all ability to make decisions, that my life is just an endless, purposeless survival mode. Coming back to Chicago really hadn't changed anything. These were the same thoughts I was having before, the same survival mode, just in a new location. What was wrong with me? I felt like I couldn't access my true self, so I couldn't really chart a path for my life. But did it really matter? We're all going to die someday, anyway. So does anything really matter? Well, I've got to do something. If I want to evolve, progress, and move forward in life, if I want to learn more about the world and my place in it, I need a bigger change, a new conception of myself. I need a new identity.